Right, so we've been teleported to the spooky Mantella. We get this orc thing in front of us. If you don't have a levitation spell at this point, you are in trouble, but if you really want to, you can click on it. Now, gotta say about the Mantella is, it is extremely buggy. You will get killed more often by getting stuck in objects than anything else. It's also an extremely difficult puzzle. It's just amazingly difficult. I can't believe that anyone can complete this without a walkthrough. Literally, if you had no walkthrough and you were doing this blind, I expect that you would be spending pretty much the better part of a month working through this. It's that difficult, and that is if you don't get frustrated and give it up. Also, adding to the frustration is you've got to levitate around to get to the place. This Mantella area is basically a big black box. You know, everything looks like space, but it's not. It's actually this big black room that you're in with black walls, black floor, black ceiling. Oh look, we've speeded up. And you will have to fly around. If you don't have levitate, you're going to be in trouble. Occasionally the levitation bugs out. You can't levitate any higher because it just won't let you. You have to levitate up, and you've got to pull this lever. What this lever does is it opens a force field for you. So now we've done that lever, you need to float. We need to float all the way down. Now this is good. This is difficult. DOSBox has speeded ourselves up, and this happens a lot. Whenever you cast a spell, then occasionally DOSBox will speed you up, and we also have difficulties floating back down to Earth, which happens a lot as well, and you need to do a lot of floating up and down, which makes the whole thing extra difficult. Also, you get caught inside scenery as well, and you can't get out of scenery, which is mega frustrating. So you'll see me during this playthrough have to kind of load and unload and reboot DOSBox several times, so don't get discouraged. This is what happens with the game. This shall be our first save. We've done the first part, we've pulled that lever, and that unloads a force field. Okay then, so we're reloading just because the game glitched after I levitated, and we have to reload to reset the game at normal pace. Otherwise the game just runs at a phenomenal pace and you start falling. You know, it's very easy to run off and not fall into the void, but fall to the bottom essentially of this black pit. After you've pulled that lever, you can see all the stars are actually a wall close to you as opposed to anything else. You can head down this pathway, and this pathway actually shows you that there is still a force field there. We need to get in there, basically. We need to get in this area. So that lever that we pulled, I thought it opened up this force field, but it doesn't. We have to go to this other place to actually open it up. What that lever does, I think, actually it opens up a doorway somewhere else. So I was fibbing a few minutes ago. It doesn't actually open up that force field. It gives you the capacity to open up the force field. What we have to do now is we have to float all the way down. Ignore this Atronach trying to shoot me. No, it's not Atronach, it's a Frost Daedra, so let's just whack him. They usually have fairly good gear, a lot of gold on them. How much has he got? 1,111. Yeah, and there are these doors. Now, which door should you close? You should close the south door. I know this because I'm working through the walkthrough, but otherwise you would be spending all your time opening and shutting these doors, wondering what the hell do they do. This is what's really difficult about this game. Anyway, we pull the south door, and we've pulled that lever up there, of course. There is another lever here, and isn't it tempting to pull these levers? Because lots of these levers don't actually do anything. They just kill you instantly, or they teleport you somewhere else, just to be extra frustrating. So we want to avoid doing that. So what we've done so far is we have pull the lever on the floating island above our starting point, and we have closed this door on the south of the starting point. And what we need to do next is float down on this bottom island. I forget the name of this initial level, but basically it's done in stages. You notice that there's little doorways and little things at the basically little doorways on the side of this giant black room that we're in. Just imagine as if this level is actually a giant room with the walls and floor and ceiling painted with stars. That's kind of how sadistic and difficult it is. I mean, whoever dreamt this level? This is a nightmare. Anyway, there we go. Now this is the lever that we want. Basically, the lever that we pulled initially opened up that force field, and the door that we pull to the south actually opens up a door in the black wall, in the space wall that we need to go through. If we go through that wall, that door, then we can actually open up that blue force field to get through to the red teleporter, which teleports us to the next part of the quest. I mean, I don't know how long it'll take you to figure that out. I guess when I first started, when I first came here, if I didn't have the walkthrough, I'd be looking, what do I do here? You know, I'm in this place with just space all around me, and the only place I can actually possibly go is to follow that pathway down to the force field, and then there's a lever there, and if I pull that lever it will either teleport me somewhere else or damage me. So it's just a trick, and then I don't know how long it'll take for you to start looking up and down. And of course I have rearranged my keys to look up and down. If you didn't play these games, you haven't played Elder Scrolls or you hadn't played anything else, and you were used to playing games like the games that were out at the time, like Doom 2 and all these games, you didn't really have to look up and down. You just looked from side to side, and the insert and delete buttons were for looking up and down. You hardly ever had to use them except for scenery. And so most people wouldn't even bother looking up and down, and wouldn't even bother looking for these floating islands up at the top and up at the bottom. And so yeah, I know how I'm not complaining how difficult this game is, but I'm just saying it's really tough, and they haven't made it easy for you at all. And look, I'm just pushing up against the black wall just to show you that they're not actually stars. As you get closer to them, these painted walls actually start looking a bit bigger. Anyway, we are levitating upwards, and you can see this door has opened, and this door is in the south, naturally, because when we actually went down where the frost daedra was, we pushed the south door, and of course what that does is it opens the south door in the black wall. So yes, very logical, you think. Very logical for a game developer developing it, of course. What's this? Greensley suddenly runs away, her feet making no sound. Okay, so Morgana Greensley's trying to kill me all this time. She's even gone to the Mantella after me. It's fair enough. Of course, once we finish this quest, I think she just disappears. But let's levitate up here. It makes you kind of feel, I guess it makes you almost appreciate the boring dungeons that you get in Daggerfall, because that room, you must, I guess you must get a tremendous sense of success once you actually figure out what it is. Like, you figure out that you have to pull that lever to be able to, well, you have to kind of open those doors to be able to open the doors on the side, and you have to pull the lever to open the force field. But to know that there are little secret passages at the bottom of these islands, that's too difficult. That unusual little creature was a harpy. Not very tough, but interesting looking nonetheless. Supposed to be like a woman attached to a bird. That seems like a battle mage or something. A burglar. Okay, it's a burglar. And at this stage, I'm not too worried about loot. That looked like she had an elven war axe or an elven axe. I can't use axes. Don't really want it. This guy's a rogue, and wow, he's got Daggerfall Crux, so I shall certainly take that. I can't carry any more stuff, so let's just get rid of my Mithril Crux, which is only I think it's a +6, and we'll put that Daedric. So I'm pretty much all in red. I just don't have the Daedric pauldrons and Daedric gloves and Daedric helm, so not brilliantly armoured, but I'll take it. Of course, we are literally end game now. We've got hold of end game stuff. This is the final quest in the main series. Of course, you can pretty much play this game forever otherwise. Anyway, that force field that was next to the burglar, that undoes this force field. You had to pull that one to undo that force field that just disappeared. The second force field along, this is the fourth one along, that opens up another force field further on. But the second one, if you pull that actually creates a force field. So there's another little puzzle for you, just in case it wasn't hard enough. I guess that one wasn't too tricky. It's just, so you pull the first lever behind the rogue, that opens up the first passageway behind the burglar, that opens up the first passageway leading you to the rogue. Then you ignore the second lever, you pull the third lever, and you pull the fourth lever, which unleashes that burglar for you to kill. Higher levels, they're normally Daedroths, but we just got NPCs right now. So let's pull this lever. Excellent. Okay, so now we can head away all the way back to the start, and what that lever has done, hopefully, is opened up the force field that will let us into the red teleporter to take us to the next section. That red teleporter is guarded by, I don't know if you remember, but that kind of funny sound that they make, they're actually guarded by a couple of Daedra Lords. I suppose the equivalent, really, because they're still getting the design in check, the design was actually for the equivalent to Dremora Lords, really. I'd say they're, I don't know, I've forgotten the ranking, but Valkyries, one of the generals anyway. They're basically Dremora generals, and they are very tough. Decent magic use, decent stats, so they're pretty much the toughest one in the game, next to Ancient Liches. Ancient Liches, of course, they blow themselves up all the time. Anyhow, the game's DOSBox has glitched up a little bit, sped up, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to save, and we'll come back for